guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. This week I would like to update you all on my tiny house homestead plans. They have basically completely changed, and I just want to fill you guys in on what's going on, why it happened, how it happened, and my new plans. Even though I will be less involved in the tiny house community, hopefully you guys will all still follow my journey. I still have my ups and downs, pros and cons, challenges that I'll be sharing with you guys, and hopefully if you guys are looking to go tiny, it will all still help you. And come along with me. All right, let's start with my original plan. When I first went tiny, I planned on buying at least 5 to 25 acres of property somewhere in the middle of Tennessee or a warmer state. I had 7 states in mind, but finally decided on Tennessee. I was going to have 3 other buildings put on my land in order for me to live comfortably, and then to create more income for myself and, say, a partner, I wanted to create 5 extra spots for either built or bought structures, tiny structures, rent those out Airbnb, and then another 5 spots to rent out monthly for people who brought their tiny or their RV or schoolie conversion into the community. I was also going to have, say, rented golf carts. I was going to have a community house. I was going to have little events that went on and shared fires, shared community garden, and things of that nature when it comes to having a community. I would have had to put in a foundation for each of those just so that each house and each spot could be level as opposed to sinking into the ground. Especially the monthly people that were going to live there, I wanted a foundation for each of them. The Airbnbs were always going to be there, so might as well put in a foundation for them. I may have had to put in a well per each 2 sites and then electric at each spot in order to do all of this legally. Now let's get into what has changed that plan. In the process of me looking for land, I have worked with about 4 or 5 different realtors, and each of these realtors are starting to say different things. They have knowledge on what lands can be purchased and whether they're unrestricted or restricted, the zoning laws for them, and anything that comes with that land. There were a couple realtors who were saying that unrestricted land is okay to do anything you want, and then there were other realtors who were saying just because a county is saying that a piece of land is unrestricted, that doesn't mean that you can do whatever you want. You still have to call them and ask if you can do your little tiny house dream. This is the problem that we were running into. The realtors were calling the zoning offices, and we were finding that each of the places that I wanted to, say, buy had rules, had extra restrictions, whether that be the house had to be 900 square feet or up, whether that meant you had to have a well or city water, or you couldn't have any other structures, it needed to be zoned for this. There was just too many rules. A lot of the listings that I would send to my current realtor, she would send them all to zoning office and they would send her back restrictions. She would send them to me, and all of the ones that I thought would be okay, say 9 out of 40 different listings, were all no's. So I was coming up short on every single piece of property that I was looking at online. Before I even went to go look at these properties, I needed to make sure that they were legal to do what I wanted to do. That is what made me completely rethink my entire homestead dream. Now, when I was thinking about what I would change in my little planning, in my goal, in my dream, I thought, okay, let's eliminate the Airbnbs. I would probably have to have it rezoned as a commercial zoning and instead of a residential, because I found that residential, you can only have 1 or 2 livable spaces on that property, but to bring other buildings on or to have other people come on, it started to become a business. There was different zoning laws for these things, so I decided to take both of the businesses away, meaning I am no longer going to be doing the Airbnbs and I'm no longer going to be doing the community. It's just going to be myself and I on my own land with my own little buildings. If family and friends want to stay, I can have them pull in and we can hook up to my current electric and water rather than me having all separate spots for everyone to hook up to their own stuff. That's just how it's going to have to be done. I found that with the plan that I wanted to do, I was coming across more rules, more regulations, and more loopholes that I would have to jump through in order to make this whole dream happen. The realtor that I'm working with actually suggested that I rethink my plan a little bit, and I was resistant to that idea at first because this has been my dream for 3.5 years, and I have been pretty much steadily trying to make it happen, and I'm so close to reaching it, except as I'm working and like trying to find these properties and stuff, it's all coming up nothing. There had to be a change made in order for me to do this. Rethought up a new plan. Now this new plan still includes parking my tiny house on there, say legally. I have to find something unrestricted in order for it to be allowed. I will not have the 5 Airbnb spots. I will not have the 5 rental spots. It is no longer going to be a community. However, I will still have the 3 outbuildings, so I still plan on taking this office out of here and putting it into its own building, like a little workplace. I will also have a guest house for when family and friends stay, and then I'll also have, say, a workshop / barn to do woodworking stuff and work on cars, whatever. It'll be big enough for projects to go on as opposed to just a storage shed. This is what's in the works. It will be a lot less money because I will not have to put in foundations anymore, no separate electrical, no separate septic. I'm going to be saving a lot of money in the long run. If you think about that, that's not that bad. However, I won't be making money from what I'm taking away. I will still have the luxury to have family and friends over and have my own little events and gatherings on my homestead. I don't mind it because I still do have a job. It's not like I was doing it to bring in more income. And there are so many money-making opportunities on a land and on homestead that even without the Airbnbs and renting out the spots, I can come up with a whole bunch more stuff to do to make money. Now, what this basically means for my homestead, it's not going to be a community anymore. There won't be any extra buildings being rented out. There won't be people in and out. I won't have to build parking lots. I won't have to buy extra golf carts to rent those out. There will be no community house that I'll have to maintain. I won't have to clean Airbnbs. I now no longer have to have fully level land. I was looking for level land in order to build up all these spots. So now if I buy land that's say 5 acres and a lot of it's slope, as long as there's a clear, spot where I can put my tiny house and the outbuildings of mine, that's all I need. So the rest of the land can be slope. I can build paths and stuff inside there and just drive a golf cart in there or walk or whatever. But it wouldn't need to be level for, me to bring these Airbnbs on or people parking inside there. This also means no guest perks. So I was going to be giving my guests free dozen eggs just for staying there because I have my 6 chickens and there's just way too many for me to handle. So I was going to give my guests free eggs for staying there. It also means no community garden and no bartering. I wanted to have this little like-minded community for like a little barter system. If you grow cucumbers and I grow tomatoes and we need to switch, then we'll switch rather than going to the store. We're eating each other's healthy grown organic foods. But if those other people aren't there, then I'll grow my own, but there's not going to be like a barter system or something where, hey, if you work on my electrical, you can raid my garden or whatever. There's not going to be that community that I wanted, and that makes me sad. And lastly, we are going to talk about my focus from here on out. Because I'm not going to be focusing on the community, I'm just going to be focusing on self, continuing to work from home. I'll have my herbal business that I'm still doing. I will still be putting together these videos, so that is kind of like a second job or income. So those would be my only 2. Living a freer life, I'm going to be able to be on my own land and not have to, say, follow the rules of a campground or a homestead and stay or anybody's rules. I want to be able to add a shed or a barn and not have complex or a neighborhood say, you can't put that there. You can't have an RV in your driveway. I want unrestricted land so that I can take it camping whenever I want. I don't want to have to go buy more storage for it. You know, I'm buying this land to be freer. So that's another focus that I'm going to have. I'm going to be building a huge catio for my cats. I want them to have some outdoor space. I'm going to be building a huge chicken coop for my chickens, so I want them to have a more comfortable living space inside and out, more covered and sheltered so that I don't have to put tarps over like the little one that I'm doing right now. Focusing on more of my gardening. I have not gardened in the past 3.5 years, almost 4 years, ever since living in apartments. I used to have 33 herbs on my balcony and some fruits, vegetables, spices, flowers, and I stopped all of that when I went tiny because I was never in a place for more than, say, a year or two, and I didn't want to, you know, put all of that into a garden and then leave it. So I decided when I get my land, that's when I'm going to be building up tons of different gardens over here, over there, over here for different things. I'm going to have a chicken garden. They're going to have all their own fruits and vegetables that they can pick out of whenever they want. These are things that are going to be happening, more of my focus. Definitely working on more DIY wood projects, whether that be making shelves to sell or making stuff around the homestead, using the wood on the homestead, and any new toys that I may get, like wood splitter or, you know, a saw to cut down a tree. This is all new to me. Focusing on more health changes. So I used to be a vegetarian for 1 whole year and it made me feel great. So before I went tiny, actually right after I went tiny, I decided that when I am established with my job in the tiny house and where I'm living, I'm actually going to focus more on my health. And this means better eating, so replacing things like dairy, sugar, breads, things that are bad for you. I want to replace them with better options. And in my opinion right now, with everything that I have going on, I don't have the time to research all of that stuff to change it. As long as I have everything established, I would be able to focus more on that. I would also have family and friends over and start having events. For the past 3.5 years, I've been living at other people's places of business or home. I personally have not had many guests at any of these places. You know, I can't throw a party if I want, maybe inside my house, but I don't have the room to do any of that. So when I finally have my land or, you know, room to do that, I can throw a party. I can have a picnic outside. I could, you know, have a gathering and have people, you know, come from near and far and possibly stay in the community house or, you know, pull into a spot and hook up to my electric. And just because I will be less involved in the tiny house community doesn't mean that I can't hold, say, classes on my homestead or meetups where, you know, I meet up with other tiny house people and enjoy a fire or something. But it's going to be less of a place of a business for tiny houses, and just my business will be on there, my herbal business, but not for people to come in and shop. I'll still be online, but it'll be, my homestead will be less of a business for, say, people to come in and out. It'll be less work that I have to do, less work that my partner has to do, and yeah, so it'll basically be a freer life for me, living tiny rather than doing the whole community thing. This does disappoint me in ways because I really wanted to supply people with a legal place to park. I've been having such a hard time finding legal parking for my tiny house that I wanted to buy my own land and make it possible for others to live there legally so that they don't go through the troubles that I'm going through. I really apologize if some of you had your hopes up high for staying in my community. I have talked to, say, a few of you, and you know, that held interest in wanting to stay in the community once I had it up, but things happen, and maybe down the line I can rezone my property and put a couple Airbnbs or maybe a couple spots in. We'll see, but I'll have my land established by that point. If I was to have somebody come in and they needed to look at my place to see if it was good enough for them, for me to have a business there and to have Airbnbs there, then maybe my property could be rezoned to have that happen. Baby steps, little, I don't at a time. Maybe it'll happen in the future, but right now I'm just going to focus on finding land for my tiny house, my cats, my chickens, my business, and just live a freer life. I hope you guys are enjoying my journey. If you are and you liked this video, please give it a big thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button below and click the notifications bell so you can receive a notification every time I post a new video, which is every Sunday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next video. No separate wells, no septic, blah. Yeah, we'll see why. Don't put that. Rocky, stop.
Don't you fuss it like that.
Hey guys, what's up? Welcome. No, don't put any of that. I already introduced myself. Rocks! The whole homestead thing was to form a homestead and to, hold on. Choked on something. All right, let's start with the original plan. Now, the original plan was for me to buy 5 to 25 acres of land in, I just smoked, hold on. A lot of the I found out that I wasn't going to be able to do a lot of this stuff. Don't put any of this. So now that we bring up rethinking the homestead dream, don't put that. Don't put that. Don't put that either.